Welcome back to 10 Commandments of Grace. We've dealt with the first 4 and it is now just a little bit after midnight. Maybe it's 4 o'clock in the morning and I'm ready to learn commandment number 5. The commandment that says that the law insists that we all carry the same load, but grace is tailor-made. I love rules. I love boxes. I love the black and white boundaries of life. It makes me feel safe because it tells me what is expected of me and I can tick the box and know that I'm okay. That's how I want to do life and that's how I wanted to climb this mountain. So I really welcomed that all the rules were spelled out clearly before we went on this expedition, which included how much weight everybody can put on the shoulders of the porters. This climb of Kilimanjaro was a climb to raise awareness and funds against human trafficking. So what would be the point of turning our porters into slaves by overloading them with illegal amounts of weight to carry on our behalf while we pray for slaves around the world? Doesn't make any sense, does it? So that rule to me was really important, and I had been watching everybody with a hawk eye from day one as these bags were weighed and people were taking chances, and some people's bags were 3 and 5 and 6 kilograms overweight, and I was thinking, yeah, caught out. You're trying to overburden somebody else. We're all gonna get 20 Ks, nothing more, and you have to, line up according to this law. So for a few days, I've had this measuring up against everybody else, comparing and keeping an eye on them that they don't cheat, because the bags are weighed on day 1, and I think again on day 2. And then they stop weighing these bags because, you're up in the mountain. What are you going to exactly add to your luggage, right? But you still have your backpack with the stuff, your day pack that you're supposed to carry all the excess weight in. But now we're getting sick, we're getting tired, and people are putting what's supposed to be in their day pack into their big duffel that the porters are carrying. And I saw this, because people who love the law, they see when people are breaking it. And I've been keeping an eye on a few people, but then they were not the worst. The worst was one person who carried nothing. Nothing. She had paid an extra porter to carry her day pack. So she's walking with no weight on her back since day 1. La-di-da, just always happy, always pink in the cheeks, and while we are going, she's still very, very chirpy. So this Pharisee in me hated her. I wanted to put my finger in her eye because it wasn't just that she wasn't carrying her weight. It was also that she kept telling us how she was going to summit first. She was going to be on Uhuru first because God had given her an assignment to be there first. And I'm thinking, God told me to be last. What is this unfairness? You get to be first, I have to be last. But not only do I have to be last, I have to be sick, and I have to be weak, and I have to smell bad, and I have to carry a really heavy pack because I'm keeping to the rules. And you're breaking the rules, and you get to go up first. It just didn't sit well with me. And by this time, with all the humiliation and the exhaustion, my attitude is rotten. Worse than my clothes, I guess. And I'm glad that I don't have to see her all the time. She's way up ahead anyway. But now I'm looking to the people right around me, and so many of them aren't carrying their backpacks anymore. They've asked their porters to carry these bags. So some porters have a pack in the front, one on each shoulder, one on the back, and these ladies are not carrying the load, and it bothers me. And I grumbled to the Lord, and I said, I don't think this is really fair. It's clear that I'm really in bad shape, but nobody's carrying my bag. Some of these girls are just not, suffering enough. And we are here to suffer because our suffering is supposed to buy freedom for these slaves. We're identifying with their journey for a reason. And if we have it all easy, what is the point of this? Because remember, that's the attitude of law. The attitude of law is I have to deserve this, I have to suffer. That is why the Pharisees, when they fasted, didn't dress properly, didn't take care of the person, didn't wash their hair, had long faces so that people could see you're keeping the law, you're paying the price for it. That's the attitude of a a law person. And this is where I was at. And I just had the sense that the Lord said, you look at the physical loads that everybody's carrying. Are you sure you know what every person is really carrying? What's in your bag? And I knew exactly how many kilograms and what was in there. But how do I know what's really on the next person's back? The person climbing with me up that mountain had a burden that I wouldn't trade for a 50-kilogram pack, because she was climbing for freedom from all of the emotion she had gathered over the years after the near drowning of her son. It left him disabled, and she took care of him until he died at age 14. All of that pain, all of that guilt, all of that suffering was in her backpack on top of the weight she was already carrying. The person who carried no bags at all, I found out later, had a serious back problem, and somebody in her church graciously sponsored this extra porter so that she wouldn't damage her back any further. She had legitimate health reasons why she couldn't carry the bag I carried. But on top of that, she carried a massive responsibility because she was out to a doctor. She was responsible to make sure nobody died on that mountain. She had to be the backup to the Sherpas who checked our fingernails and our gums. She was responsible for our well-being. I don't want to have that responsibility. I don't want to carry that back. That is something you and I need to understand about how grace works. Grace knows what each can carry, and grace always balances out what's put on our back. And we receive grace to carry whatever it is we were supposed to carry. And some of us have an extremely heavy load that is completely invisible to others, and we will get a lot of grace. And people will look at the amount of grace they can see God giving us, and they will feel that it is unfair. But it is because they do not know how this works. They will want equal burdens for everybody. I remember how Jesus told the Pharisees that they burden people with their laws, and they themselves don't lift a finger to carry this. And when I read it, I want to object and say, but that's not true. They keep all these rules. They put it on the people after they've done it themselves. But when we look at everything Jesus says to the Pharisees, we hear very clearly that what he said was, you were never supposed to burden people to the point where they cannot walk up straight. You were supposed to teach them the kind of life where the burdens fall off, and you're unable to do that because you yourself have not embraced grace. Yet you are still completely crushed by the law yourselves. Now you found clever ways of weighing the packs, of equalizing the burdens. And nobody is set free in that way. But grace wants to discern what every person needs and give it. As we progressed, I also knew that if I asked anybody to take that back off my back, they would. But I was too proud.